Welcome to Reality Tea Times 2, the podcast where we discuss all the trash reality TV we love to hate. I'm Janika, and today we're going to be discussing Selling Sunset. So, this is the reunion. This was a decent reunion, but let's get into it. So, Chrishell, I noticed, couldn't really walk in her dress, but she looked amazing. Anyway, Tad France is here. He's going to be the one doing our reunion. He did our last one. The one that Christine did not go to because apparently she had COVID. But anyways, Mary does confirm that Jason powdered his balls and she actually saw it. Okay. But Chrishell didn't. So the rumor is that he stopped powdering his balls around the time that he was with her. So someone asks, can you put baby powder, can you eat baby powder? Ooh, no, you can't. He's gonna need to wipe that off before, So Chrishell and G renewed their vows, and Emma officiated in a bikini for Chrishell's request, apparently. So I don't know if they're legally married now or what. I know to her doesn't matter, so whatever, but they did that so family and friends could be there because they weren't at the Vegas wedding. So Mansa had back surgery, but she looks like she didn't. She looks great. Jason is kind of talking to someone in Vancouver now, but he's still single. So he considers himself single, but he is talking to someone in Vancouver who is almost 30. She's 29. Anyway, Bree is still undecided about whether or not she's going to be staying at the O Group. But let's get into it. Let's talk about Nicole and, well, everyone else having issues with her. So let's get into it. While Nicole is talking about her experiences, I guess, Chrishell makes this, face that she's kind of like, when you take your finger to your nose and you're just like, yeah. For those who watch the show know what she did. And because of that, Chelsea starts laughing. Which, it's hard to say what Chrishell was trying to do here, although I think it was a pointed thing, honestly. But Chelsea, you can control your damn self and not start laughing like a fucking crazy person because someone's talking. That's disrespectful. I don't like Nicole, but that's disrespectful. Don't do that. And it sounds you look childish, really and really. But anyway, Chrishell claimed she didn't do anything, but anyways, Chrishell feels that Nicole cared more about the show and presented herself in a way where she was caring more about the show than relationships. And anyways, Nicole wasn't trying to, start shit with people or whatever. Or start a battle with Chrishell, but she says that she tried to quell the situation with Chrishell. That's fucking laughable. When? Because Chrishell actually did try to quell the situation to some sort of degree, and you didn't reciprocate that. So how can you sit here and say you tried to quell a situation where there was never you never did when the opportunity presented itself to you? This woman needs a little bit of help because, she's delusional or she's saving face. Those are the only things that could be going on here. So there was a comment apparently that was made about, I'm assuming G, well, and Chriselle as well, in a sense, but I think it was more pointed at G. But there was a comment that was made on social media. I'm going to read the comment. It's really disgusting. So just trigger warning for disgust and just ew. People are fucking just, I don't get it. And I'm going to put my 2 cents into this comment in a second, but let's start there. So there was a comment, and this has to do with Rochelle and Nicole, having a little more beef, quote unquote. But let's get into it. So the comment is this. I was hoping the lesbian chick was off in Australia this season and not on our screens. Who the fuck are you talking about? Our screens? You mean your screen, bitch? Let's move on. Whatever her name is, you know her name. I forgot. No, you didn't. And then the comment ends with, Nicole, you look great! Exclamation mark. So here's what I'm going to say about the comment. If you don't like something on the show, don't fucking watch the show. And keep your fucking comment to yourself. We live in a fucking age where, like, I'm kind of right before that generation, but we live in an age where not even just the Gen Zs, but everybody has to have their 2 cents be out in the world. Every little thought you have needs to be out in the world. Guess what? It doesn't. Because no one gives a flying fuck what you have to say. Either watch the show and shut the fuck up and seethe in your fucking hate, or don't watch the fucking show and don't watch the show. Because in the end of the day, first of all, number one, Chriselle has never referred to herself. We're talking about Chriselle. I don't know if they were talking about G, but I'm going to assume Chriselle. Which, by the way, you're an idiot and clearly have not been watching the show all the way through. Chriselle is the show. If Chriselle is not on the show, guess what? There is no show. The show will very quickly go away. It won't last without Chriselle. Let's be very real here. But if we're talking about Chriselle has never once considered herself a quote-unquote lesbian. I would think the proper term to use here might be, I feel like she might have she might have said something in the last reunion about where she maybe lands with her sexuality, but that's her business at the end of the day. But I would feel like the proper term would be pansexual, if anything. Fluid, queer, those could be the words that we might be needing to use here, but when you're improperly putting a label on somebody's sexuality, who the fuck are you? What is wrong with people? Like, the hatred in this world is ridiculous. It's so gross. But anyways, that happened, and Nicole apparently said thank you to this person, but didn't once have anything to say about what was said about Chriselle and G. And the problem with the fact that she said thank you is that you didn't deal with the hatred in that comment. Because when you're saying thank you, it's like you're saying thank you to the whole thing. And you don't have to like Chriselle. You don't have to like G. But when someone is spewing hate in general, you need to deal with the hate. If you want to say thank you for someone complimenting, fine. But you are a person of power here to quell the hatred. No one else could. Another random commenter couldn't say, well, there was another comment that actually said, you suck, basically. There is not going to be another commenter who is, you or me, who is going to make a difference. But Nicole would have made a difference in this moment, and she didn't. So that's the issue here. So basically, because of the fact of lack of comment, Grishelle feels that Nicole's homophobic. Now that could be a stretch. I really do think that could be a stretch. I'm not gonna say someone is homophobic unless you really are spewing hate as well. The person who made this comment is homophobic, but I'm not gonna say Nicole's homophobic. I think this has more to do about her dislike about Grishelle and just didn't give a shit to say anything. But you don't have to like Grishelle to say, don't spew hate about people of the LGBTQ plus community. It's really fucking simple. Just don't. Because where this hatred is towards Grishelle, there's going to be a hatred towards other people. So you need to quell that. That's when you try to quell a situation. Basically, the issue is, as I've mentioned, is giving the comment any attention with basically agreeing with what the comment was saying about Grishelle. And then Nicole basically says, like, I don't see that as an issue. Like, I don't understand how that's homophobic. What? Like, come on. And she basically needs that explained to her because, like, is saying lesbian or gay homophobic? No, Nicole. The saying the word gay or lesbian or anything else isn't what's homophobic. What's homophobic is the comment that was made. It was hatred behind what that person, they're not just saying like, which I don't even understand why anyone would need to say that in this context, but this person wasn't saying like, oh, you know, like, I love that Grishelle's lesbian or something like that, you know, something along those lines. They're not saying that. What they're saying is, I was kind of hoping she wouldn't be on my screen and making it about the fact that she's lesbian or sexually fluid, be the proper thing to say in this case, but they're making it about, that's the reason they don't want her on the screen. They didn't seem to have a problem, I'm assuming, having her on the screen before. That's the problem. That's what's homophobic. Like, I don't understand. So then Grishelle says, I own my part because I hate you and you hate me. And Amanda has to actually step in this and be like, hate's a strong word. And she's like, but I do. Like, I guess it takes a lot for someone to say that they hate a person. I've been there where I've actually said, like, I hate this person and I don't want them anywhere near me. And that is basically how Grishelle feels. So Amanda, like, don't mince words about hating. You may not hate Nicole, and that's fine, but Grishelle does. And I think she has every right to feel that way, honestly. But Brett says to Nicole that he is not necessarily seeing the person that he has always known and what he's kind of been seeing on the show. He thinks that maybe her dislike of Grishelle has kind of skewed her personality a little bit. Grishelle is open to put the swords down, though. So let's do it. Nicole says she's good with that. So the other thing that I want to mention here as well too is, Tan actually says to her, as a gay man, says to her, listen, it's the fact that you gave this, kind of similar to what Chelsea did, the fact that you have not addressed the problem in the comment was the problem. The fact that you didn't ignore the comment was the problem. And it's not like that's the problem here. No one's necessarily saying you're homophobic, because I don't think Nicole's homophobic. I need to see more than that. And everyone that knows her says, no, she's not homophobic. So I won't go as far as that. That's a really strong thing to say about someone if they're really not. But educate yourself and maybe just do better. It didn't have to be about Grishelle. You could have just said, I don't fucking appreciate what you just said, for whatever reason. It didn't have to be you necessarily defending Grishelle, but you could have still said something and basically say, like, listen, I may hate Grishelle, but my hatred towards Grishelle has nothing to do with who she sleeps with at night. So don't make it about. Don't bring that shit to me. Ew. Anyway, moving on. So let's talk about Brie and now Chelsea and their situation. So Brie has kind of been tired and kind of had enough of comments about her life. And probably not just from the people on the show, but just people in general. And she says, like, listen, Nick isn't happy either. I don't give a shit what Nick feels. I'm going to tell you that right now. Both things can be true. I care about Brie and not making it just about the fact that this girl decided to have a child with this man of all men. I'm not gonna make it about that because I think Brie, not at the end of the day, she loves being a mom. She loves her child. She seems to, everything she does is for her child. I don't care who the hell she decided to have a kid with. Now, when I talk about Nick, though, I don't give a fuck what you have to say, Nick, because you know you're the butt of the joke at this point. You know that people have issues with you. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to stop doing what you're doing. Who do you? But don't act like people don't have shit to say because you're fucked up, sir. So both things can be true. But then there's also the aspect of it that why are these women doing it? That also can be true. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. Nothing can be changed. And nor should it be. It's not my life. Do what you want to do. So, Chelsea says, I really was trying to, give her advice. No, you weren't. No, you weren't. Because if you were trying to give her advice, you would have come at her very differently. You would have gotten to know her, be friends with her, and then maybe say, here's my advice. That's not what you did. What you did was talk shit about her family. There's really nothing that you could have said at that point that would have changed anything. She already had the baby. That's all done and over with. So what advice would you have given? But that's not what you were doing. So Chelsea mentions here that she hasn't talked to Cassandra. We'll get to that in a little more. Brie says, I heard her apology, but I wasn't really ready to accept the apology, which is fair. And I think that should be understood. Chelsea is being a little delusional about Cassandra and what part she was playing with all of that, where Cassandra was concerned. And saying like the issues were with Brie, but with Chelsea, she was kind of like, oh, I didn't see that I was doing anything wrong with Cassandra. Like, I didn't understand why you guys weren't friends. Like, I wasn't trying to make things worse for you. Yes, you were. Because can we roll back the tape where you were literally saying, like, it's such a fresh, what's the word she used? Sorry, I'm blanking. She was like saying, like, it's so refreshing to have someone like on my side and not really give a shit about Brie and all that. Like, so you can't sit here and say, I don't know what I was doing wrong. You were doing something wrong. So own it. If you're going to do it, own it. So Brie says, I wasn't being a bitch. I just wasn't entertaining it. I wasn't getting involved in any of the nonsense between you and Cassandra. Like, if that's not me being a bitch, that's just me just not engaging. Like, come on. It's just true. Chelsea says, I will not go low and talk about things that do not concern me anymore. Which is great. So what I'll say here, just to kind of end this off, I might have written this down again, but I'm going to say this to end this off, this portion off. they do eventually go on a break. I can't remember when they do, but they do eventually go on a break. And Chelsea goes to talk to Bree. And Chelsea says, listen, Cassandra played me too. And I didn't realize that's what she was doing. I don't know what happened, but I need more details. I need all the details. So let's talk about real estate for a minute. Because after all, apparently sales are a lot slower due to everything, including the mansion tax. Jason hopes that people will work harder. And yeah, more of that shit. The office looks incredible. We do see pictures of the office. Looks great. But maybe too much money was put into it. I think Rochelle said that. Nicole says that the twins have fought under a billboard of them before, because we kind of talk about this little disagreement that happened between Brett and Jason, which is something we've never seen on the show before, which apparently happens a lot. They're brothers. It is what it is. And Nicole mentions like they have literally fought with each other under a billboard of the two of them. Interesting. And so anyway, we talk about Emma selling the house that was owned by Harry Styles, which I did talk about in Hot Goss in an earlier episode. So we won't talk about it again. They do talk about the fact that when they show houses to people, because they are who they are, you might get the odd person who maybe just wants to show up at a house to look at a house because it's them selling the house. They do have a vetting process, which includes proof of funds. So basically, I will not be able to meet any of these people by trying to look at a house. So then we are talking about the commission structure again. And it's interesting how this kind of changed a little bit, because on the show, it's discussed that the commission is 80-20. So 80 to the agent, 20 to the brokerage, where the standard is actually 90-10. But here, we started talking about that the commission structure would actually be between 50 to 70% to the agent, depending, I guess, on their ranking. So someone like Mary, Rochelle, Nicole probably gets 70, whereas someone like maybe Bree gets 50, or Chelsea might be somewhere in the middle. But they literally say the brokerage gets no more than 50% and no less than 30. Now that is fucked all the way up when the standard is 90-10. Anyway, so Bree's opinion has not yet changed about this yet. She doesn't know what she's going to do, if she's going to stay at the O group or move on. Okay, so now let's talk about Skip to Malou and all of her nonsense with Rochelle. And guess what, guys? She's here. So Rochelle didn't want any issues with Skip to Malou. She says that Rochelle was not the priority in their relationship between like her and Jason. Obviously, at this point, we know that they're not together, and they were not together at the time of this reunion. And she says like, yeah, Rochelle wasn't like a main priority in their relationship, but it appeared that way on camera. Okay, so Rochelle also says that she had some fun without Jason being there. And apparently she has proof with a selfie that was taken with a bunch of them. And Skip to Malou is there in that selfie. And she says, like, it was fun. Well, guess what? Skip to Malou says, okay, but that's not true. That's not true. The photo that we actually see on screen is giving what's like, no, like the photo was true, but like, you being nice to me and all that nonsense or whatever the fuck. And it's like, okay, but wait, ma'am, your claim that the issue is that Chriselle is not around you or doesn't want to be around you without Jason there. Yet here's the proof that there was a time where you guys were together and Jason wasn't there. What the fuck? Anyway, she's so confusing. So then there's a comment about Skip Samalu's dress being beautiful that was discussed during their meeting as well, where she made the comment of like Skip Samalu's dress looked really beautiful, whatever, and Chriselle commented on that fact to her. And Skip Samalu is still like, that didn't happen. That didn't happen. Well, because what Emma says. No, Chriselle said that. I was right there when she said it. So now you have somebody else saying that's not true. That was said. And Skip Samalu's like, like, it's so fucked up. Anyway. But basically, Skip Samalu basically calls Emma a liar as well. So everyone's a liar. Not Skip Samalu. Everyone else is a liar. Idiot. So, Emma says that it's funny how, tight Nicole and Skip Samalu are when the both of them dislike Chriselle. And they kind of start talking about the fact that, like, she gets so excited, Nicole, when Skip Samalu shows up on stage, and, like, this burst of energy comes out of her. And most everyone on there kind of agrees that it is weird, like, you guys get along due to your dislike of Chriselle. But then you have Amanda in the background kind of being like, can't you just be excited to see her friend? Oh man, Amanda, come on. There's some truth in the middle with both comments. But I understand what they're saying, really. Anyways. And anyway, she thinks Nicole is feeding Skip Samalu's bullshit. I can agree with that. And yeah, Amanda can't see the issue, but anyways, it's fine. Bye, Skip Samalu. Don't ever want to see you again. Don't come back. Bye. I never want to see her again. We never will. They're broken up now. Anyway. So we're gonna quickly talk about very quickly talk about what happened with Mary and Romaine, but both Romaine and Mary are okay. After what happened, you can tell Mary's still very much struggling, and I don't know when that struggle ends, but I don't know if it ever really does. But they got a puppy, and his name's Thor, and he's the cutest little puppy I have ever seen. We do see the puppy on screen, super cutie. Anyways, that's it. Rochelle says that her and G are planning their future when it comes to growing their family. And they are currently in the planning stages. So that's basically it. So we're going to play a little game called Tell the Truth. Inspired by Amanda's Purse. And we actually bring in a polygrapher. Pretty sure I've seen this guy before. I think he's been on like MTV before. Like I think I saw him on Jersey Shore on one season because he definitely looked familiar. But anyways, so anyway, he's here, and we're gonna start with Bree first. She thinks that she is the hottest in the office, so basically everyone was asked, "Do you think you're the hottest in the office?" That's kind of universal among everybody. In Bree's case, she answers, no, she lied. So then she says, the question is, does she have anger issues? She says, I think she says yes, and that's true. Then the next question is, would you be friends with Chelsea? And she says, maybe? Question mark. That's a lie. She will not be friends with her. And then we ask, is Michael B. Jordan good in bed? She says no. And that is true. Sorry, ladies. Guess that's not going to happen for anybody, including me. So Nicole is next. And she says, and the question for her is, did she target Rochelle for screen time? She says no. And that is true. I'm surprised. So is Rochelle, because Rochelle says, then what were you doing? Then Rochelle is next. And her first, well, I don't know if it was necessarily her first question, but her question was, who is better in bed, G or Jason? And she says, just to keep my relationship in check, it's going to be G is better, which was true. Jason's like, it's fine. It's okay. It's okay. So then, do you trust Amanda? And Rochelle says no. And that is true. And, we will get to that in a little bit towards the end of the episode. So then the last question that's asked of her is, if she has had Emma's empanadas, not her empanada, her empanadas. And, she says no. She says that she hasn't had her empanada, but she has had her empanadas from the freezer. Those empanadas. Moving on. Next is Jason. So Jason thinks that he is the hottest in the office. Next question is, are you 5'6"? Yes. He says that's not true. Next question is, are you still in love with Chriselle? He says he's not in love with Chriselle, so no. That's not true. Jason is then asked, have you hooked up with anyone else in the office? He says no, and that is true. But hold on to that. We're going to come back to that. So Chelsea's next. Because of guys, every party has a pooper, and she's not going to do it. She's like, I don't like how this is going, and I don't want to do it. So then all of a sudden, Amanda admits, guys, guess what? I did have sex with Jason. She's like, I've known that guy for like 20 years. Of course I've had sex with Jason. Oof. Is there anyone in this fucking office that Jason has not had sex with? Yes. He hasn't had sex with Chelsea because she's married. Emma, well, hold on. Probably never will because she's best friends with Chriselle, so that probably never will happen. But anyways, now it's Amanda's turn. And she's asked, do you trust Chriselle? She says yes. And that is true. So we'll come back to that, like I said. Emma is now next. And she thinks that she is the hottest in the office. Own it. And then they ask her if she's dating anyone. She says no, question mark. And that is not only a lie, but a major lie. And then they ask, is Amanda a friend? And she says yes, question mark. And that is also a lie. Then it's asked, do you like Brie more than Chelsea? She says no, she loves them equally. Chelsea had a problem with that, jokingly. But anyways, that is true. And that's it. That's it. Thanks, John. That's his name. Polygrapher. So he's gone now. And then all of a sudden, we have the OC group here. We have Hall, Gio, Polly, and Brandy. So we did get a new season. It's coming. Kayla is, so let me go back a minute. We do get a clip of the new season. Kayla's being Kayla in that. And it looks like Tyler and Hall just aren't working. Who knew? Sean is becoming a thing. Great. Austin is about to throw it fucking down on Sean. Not in a good way. And we now know Tyler has left to work with his dad, so that's been confirmed because the clip is done. So now that's been confirmed. Hall apparently didn't know that he was leaving until he pretty much left. Tyler apparently blocked Hall. Oh my God. And then we get this weird fucking thing. Not this particularly was the weird thing, but Brandy says that she is still talking with Tyler. She's not friends with Hall. And then Hall is like, you talk to Tyler? Why do you talk to Tyler for? Like, I didn't know you guys had that kind of friendship. And Brandy's like, am I not supposed to have that kind of friendship with Tyler? No, I'm not saying that. But I'm just weird. It's like weird because I didn't know you did. So, what does that have to do with anything? Anyway, that's it. They leave. Bye, OC. We'll see you soon. And now it's a pre-break. And this is when that conversation happens between Brie and Chelsea, which I already talked about. So, move on. So now let's talk about Amanda and Chrishell. So, what did you mean by Chrishell has changed, Amanda? Well, she finds, but things just kind of got, worse, she's like, ever since she kind of met G, not necessarily saying it's about G, but G met G, things have changed for her. Like, she became more confident. She found her voice. She was, but she found her confidence. But, maybe, so much so that it could have, made things worse for the relationship. I don't know. But then, Mary thinks that she is the same person. But, anyway, Amanda didn't think about the consequences of her doing that video in the moment. She didn't think it would blow up the way that it did. And she owns that. She owns that, maybe I shouldn't have done that video. And then Chelsea is kind of brought into the mix because Amanda's like, Chelsea kind of egged it on. But then Chelsea says, listen, Chrishell's my friend. I didn't like the conversations that were happening about her when she wasn't there. So I basically said to you, if you have a problem, keep that energy up when you see her. And then that's what happened. I don't think Chelsea did anything wrong here. I completely kind of understood what Chelsea was trying to say. So then Emma says, you made it about things that it just didn't need to be made about. And Chrishell was really going through it, as we kind of can agree on that fact. Chrishell says, I love you. I hate seeing you cry. So, so anyways, so what happened after their conversation that we did see at the party? So Chrishell apparently asked Amanda if she could give her some money for the efforts that was put into G's project. Amanda explains that the efforts that were put in did not quite reflect the money that Chrishell offered and ultimately gave her. She said the hours that were put in, late nights put in to this, she explains that she turned down other jobs in order to do this job because she said, like, it will kind of show that I actually do something here. And that, this would have aired on television. So that was also another thing for her as well. And so she was scrambling to get all of this done so that it could have been filmed. So she says that when Chriselle asked about, you know, the money aspect of things, Amanda gave Chriselle kind of, I guess, a quote in a sense that would have been about 11,400. Chriselle ultimately offered her $5,000, not even half. And that really pissed off Amanda. She took that as an offense. And Amanda lost it. Chriselle says that her side of the story is a little different. She said like there were certain colors that they didn't really want. There was a mention that Amanda mentioned, like ordering furniture and art. She says like, G paid for the furniture. Apparently there was a door that wasn't measured properly. And honestly, they just did not like the design. That's basically it. And, Amanda explains that the color scheme, that there was an opportunity to present that. There was no opportunity to present that. And, if she had the chance, like it would have been done. It could have been fixed. It could have been whatever. And, she just didn't get that opportunity to do that. Amanda, because of all of this, was very angry. And she went public with everything. And she actually blocked Chriselle, as we know. We do know this. And she felt triggered by everything. Anyway, yeah, so that's basically kind of what happened with that. But maybe they're not friends yet, but hopefully they can kind of fix everything and kind of get back on track with it. So, I mean, I don't really know where I fall in this. I don't think Amanda should have gone public with the issues. I think if you have problems with certain things, Chriselle, you should have maybe told her that. But you didn't fire her because of that. You fired her because of this disagreement you had with her. So it's a mess. Anyway, we end off this reunion by saying there will be another season. But that is it for Selling Sunset for this season. So I guess eventually we'll get OC very soon. So there's that. But I really enjoyed this season. This was a good season. This was a really good season. The best in a while. And yeah, that is it for Selling Sunset. So if you like what you heard, please rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. And you can rate a review on either Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And I have a new thing that I want to start trying, and that is that every 4 or 5 star review that we get, I'll read it on the podcast. So if you want to hear your review on the podcast, please rate and review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you're able to rate and review. And if you want to connect with us, you can do so by going to Reality Tea Times 2 on Facebook, Reality Tea Times 2 podcast on Instagram or Threads, Reality Tea Times 2 pod on Twitter. You can also find us on Reddit at Reality Tea Times 2 pod. And you can also email us at realityteatimes2@hotmail.com. And don't forget, you can find us on YouTube at Reality Tea Times 2. You can also subscribe, like, comment on there as well. We greatly appreciate that. And don't forget that I do have another podcast with my friend Mikkel called Next Take Podcast, where we talk about all kinds of different things. We currently have,
you know, this number can definitely change, but we currently have about 8 episodes. Roughly, we've talked about all kinds of different things. We have a lot of fun over there. So please go take a listen to us over at Next Take Podcast, which you can find us on YouTube at Next Take Podcast. You can also find us on our website, solo.to/Next Take Podcast. And don't forget, we have a website, and that is at solo.to/reality tea times 2. And we also have a Discord, and I believe that's reality tea times 2 as well. So you can find us there. But that's basically it. That's all the stuff. Of course, everything here that I've just listed will be in our show notes, all discount codes, special links to everything that we put in our ads are also in our show notes. And yeah, that's basically it, guys. Thanks so much. Bye.